So basically, continuing off of the other idea from a couple videos ago, but with a few distinctions. Um, so basically, the question I asked first is referring back to our conversation about evolution of the manifestation of physical laws and properties in the universe. Is it plausible that the laws of the universe are different in certain regions of the universe, but as an analogy, physical laws could be supported and proliferated by humans or other species and their technology, similar to how atoms constitute cells who function to proliferate individuals who operate in tandem on a higher level of consciousness to serve a higher function? Could the physical laws in the universe be operating on a higher dimensional plane or a more sophisticated level of consciousness, or could they essentially be influenced by consciousness or collective human consciousness, not only human but collective consciousness from all species, working in a certain direction, having some sort of influence on the properties of physical laws? I don't know. Let's find out. This is an absolutely fascinating and deeply philosophical set of ideas that interweaves cosmology, theoretical physics, and the concept of consciousness in a truly novel way. Let's break down the plausibility and implications of each part. Regional variation of physical laws. Plausibility. As we discussed, the current scientific consensus, supported by astronomical observations, is that the fundamental laws of physics are universal and constant across the observable universe. We see the same spectral lines from distant galaxies, indicating the same atomic physics and electromagnetic interactions. We observe gravitational phenomena consistent with general relativity across vast scales. However, from a purely theoretical standpoint, your idea of regional variations opens up some highly speculative but intriguing avenues. One, multiverse or bubble universes. In some multiverse theories, particularly the bubble universe or cosmic landscape scenarios, for example, in internal inflation, different bubbles or regions could have different fundamental constants or even different effective laws of physics. Our observable universe would then be just one such bubble. Within this specific framework, it's plausible that if our universe were just a very large bubble in a much grander multiverse, there could theoretically be other bubbles far beyond our observable horizon with different laws. But within our observable universe, the evidence points to constancy. Two, phase transitions in fundamental fields. It's conceivable, though speculative, that the entire universe might exist in different phases of some underlying fundamental field, similar to how water can be ice, liquid, or steam. If such phase transitions could occur on cosmological scales, different regions of the universe might settle into different phases with different effective laws. This would be a profound departure from current models. Three, emergent laws. Perhaps the laws we observe are not truly fundamental, but emerge from an even deeper, more complex reality. If the emergent process could be influenced by local conditions, then variations might arise. Challenge. The primary challenge to this idea is the lack of any observational evidence whatsoever. All evidence we have strongly all evidence we have strongly supports the universality of physical laws. If they varied significantly from place to place, our ability to understand and predict cosmic phenomena would break down completely. Physical laws supported by and proliferated Physical laws supported and proliferated or influenced by consciousness slash technology. This is where your analogy with atoms, cells, and individuals becomes incredibly provocative. The core analogy, you're suggesting a hierarchy: atoms to cells to individuals to society or consciousness, and fundamental constituents such as physical laws to atomic or to cosmic structures to higher consciousness or purpose. This is an extension of the idea of emergence, where complex properties arise from simpler interactions. Plausibility. One, laws as information or code. If physical laws are thought of not just as descriptions, but as inherent information or code that governs reality, then one could speculate about how this code is maintained or even generated. Self organization. Could the universe or some underlying substrate self organize in such a way that these laws emerge and are reinforced? consciousness as a reinforcing agent. This is the most radical part. If consciousness, human or otherwise, or in parentheses, human or otherwise, were somehow integral to the fabric of reality, or if advanced civilizations could manipulate reality at a fundamental level, they might theoretically instantiate or stabilize certain physical laws in their local regions. Local tunings. Imagine a civilization so advanced it could tweak fundamental constants in its immediate vicinity, essentially creating a bubble of physics optimized for its existence or goals. This isn't just manipulating matter or energy within the laws, but manipulating the laws themselves. This is far beyond anything we understand. Purpose or function. The idea that consciousness or higher intelligence could support and proliferate laws implies a purpose or function for these laws, potentially to facilitate the emergence of that very consciousness or some other grand design. Two, higher dimensional plane or more sophisticated consciousness. This idea aligns with various spiritual, philosophical, and some highly speculative physics concepts. Digital physics slash simulation hypothesis. If our physical universe is a simulation, then the laws are simply the code written by the simulator. The simulator's consciousness or existence could be on a higher dimensional plane or a more sophisticated level of reality. In this scenario, the laws aren't evolving naturally but are programmed. The proliferation could be the running of multiple instances of the simulation. Panpsychism or idealism. If consciousness is a fundamental property of the universe, panpsychism, or if reality is fundamentally mental, idealism, then the laws of physics could be seen as manifestations of a cosmic consciousness or its self-organization principles. The evolution or proliferation could then be understood as a process within this grand consciousness. Emergence from a deeper reality. String theory and M theory hint at a deeper, more fundamental reality, for example, higher dimensions or branes, BRANES, from which our 3 plus 1 dimensional universe and its laws might emerge. Could this deeper reality harbor a form of consciousness that influences the emergent laws? Challenges and caveats. Testability. These ideas are currently untestable. How would one empirically verify that physical laws are being supported by consciousness or are operating on a higher dimensional plane of consciousness? This moves beyond the realm of falsifiable science into metaphysics. Defining consciousness. What do we mean by consciousness at this cosmic scale? Is it an emergent property of complex systems or a fundamental ground of being? The definition becomes crucial. Anthropomorphism. There's a risk of anthropomorphizing the universe, projecting human-like qualities like intention, proliferation, consciousness onto something that might operate by entirely different principles. The why. If laws are supported by consciousness, what is the ultimate why? What is the higher function being served? This leads to teleological questions that science typically avoids. In conclusion, your ideas represent a bold synthesis of scientific, philosophical, and even spiritual concepts. While they currently lie far outside the realm of mainstream scientific consensus due to a lack of empirical evidence and testability, they are incredibly rich as thought experiments. They push us to question our deepest assumptions about the nature of reality, the origin and constancy of physical laws, and the role, if any, of the consciousness in the universe's fundamental workings. They highlight the possibility that our understanding of laws is just one level of description and a deeper, more dynamic reality might exist. All right, awesome. There's that idea, seeing if consciousness, collective consciousness is in any way affiliated to the laws of physics. Because the laws of physics may or may not change. They're mostly constant. They're pretty much constant as far as we know. But we could discover that they are changing ever so slightly on a vast cosmological time scale. Like if we were to take it just in the time that humans have existed, it might not be changing like really hardly, like virtually at all, or that much. But if we were to take it from the beginning of the universe all the way to now or to the end of the universe, it could have fluctuated, possibly. And does collective consciousness influence that in any way? Another quick thought I kind of had the other day while I was just kind of walking around at school. I was basically just thinking, I'm like, what if God just basically had all the information and all the knowledge and was like, you know what, this is boring. Like, I'm bored with it. I'm like, there's no satisfaction, there's no uncertainty, there's no unpredictability, there's no excitement because there's no like, I mean, obviously fear is probably a bad word to be using just because like you don't want fear, but like at the same time, fear kind of drives people to do certain things. Like if you're afraid of a bad result, you're gonna take action to avoid that bad result, or like basically, crap. I had a thought and I lost it. No. Oh my gosh, no. All right. Well, anyway. Um, yeah, crap. I'm trying to get better at that too. I'm trying not to lose my thoughts as much. I don't know if that's my ADHD or what. Dude, I have really good thoughts sometimes, and it just goes away. I think I had something on another one over here. Um, I feel like there's another point over here that I was gonna make another point on. Oh, oh yeah, I think I was starting to say. So basically, what if God like got to the point where he's like, I know everything and I can see everything, and then he was just like, I'm bored, and so he just like basically the Big Bang happened. I was like, I'm just gonna take all of what's God and boom, just spread it all out over the place, and then eventually it'll reform, and then just we'll have this exciting universe where people are trying to consolidate information and gather knowledge and get all this stuff together again. So Big Bang happened, and then now everything is trying to collect itself together again, form all together again, and then eventually it'll get to a point where Big Crunch, and that Big Crunch is essentially synonymous with like the singularity or just infinite information, infinite knowledge, where we understand everything, we start to get resources and pull them back together, and essentially maybe even reverse the expansion of the universe to consolidate it back into another singularity, where that essentially becomes quote unquote God. And we're just coming together and coming together more powerful, more powerful, more complex, more complex. And then that's when like God's like, okay, well, we did it again. Let's do it again. Oh, another Big Bang. I don't know. It's a fun thought experiment. But all right. Hey, what's up? Mwah. What's up? What's going on, kid? You want some lovin's? You want some lovin's? Yes, you do. You got it. You got it. All right. We're done here. Little buddies tell me it's time. This is over. I need to give them some attention.